Today, we're diving into a startling topic, the dangerous truth about mouthwash. We've all seen the commercials, just 30 seconds of swishing mouthwash, and your teeth will be whiter, your gums will be healthier, and bad breath just disappears. Except, that's not quite what happens. Do you know conventional mouthwash can wreak havoc with the health and the recovery of your peripheral nerves? And many people use it every day without realizing the potential risks. So in this video, we'll explore the shocking ingredients lurking in your favorite mouthwash. Do you use mouthwash, Chloe? No, you have pretty breath, don't you? All right, we'll also explore their effects on your health and the science behind it all. You don't want to miss this. Tell them, Chloe. Coming up. Hey gang, Dr. Valerie Montero here. If you're finally ready to conquer your peripheral neuropathy, reclaim your life, and start living again, then subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click on the bell so you're notified as soon as we publish new content. Are you ready to dive in? Let's do this. The mouthwash industry in the U.S. is Gi-normous. According to the research groups Grandview Research, Statista and Mordor Intelligence, mouthwash companies generated over $5 billion in sales last year, with antiseptic mouthwashes leading the pack. In fact, Listerine continues to be the leading antiseptic brand, with annual sales exceeding $354 million. We go to great lengths to have fresh breath and good oral hygiene. However, there's a very dark side to mouthwash that can impact your peripheral nerves' ability to recover. Let's start by looking at common ingredients you'll find in typical antiseptic mouthwashes like Listerine and Scope. These oral rinses contain ingredients like alcohol in the form of ethyl alcohol, propylene glycol, Polysorbate 80, sodium benzoate, benzoic acid, and artificial dyes like blue 1, yellow 5, and red dye 40. Now, there are other chemicals besides these in your mouthwash, but I'm focusing on these in particular because they are truly heavy hitters. So let's explore why that is. Let's start with alcohol. Ethanol or ethyl alcohol is a colorless alcohol. It's used as a carrier agent of other ingredients in mouthwash, and it helps fight some bad microbes in your mouth. Now, here's something you might not be aware of. Mouthwashes containing alcohol will contain a much higher alcohol content than either beer or wine. For instance, the average beer may contain 3 to 7% alcohol, and wine will usually contain about 12% alcohol. However, many common mouthwashes with alcohol in them contain anywhere between 14 to 26% alcohol. Now, you might be thinking, hey, that's not a big deal because I'm not planning on drinking this stuff anyway. Well, think again. Even though you're not swallowing the mouthwash in large volumes, the alcohol is easily absorbed through the tissues in your oral cavity or your mouth. That's why pregnant women are advised to stay clear of alcohol-based mouthwashes. Also, some clinical studies have found that the alcohol may put you at a higher risk of oral cancer and damage to the mucosal lining of the gut. Any damage to the gut lining can result in higher inflammation around the peripheral nerves, resulting in your symptoms worsening and difficulty in recovering from peripheral neuropathy. Next, let's look at the ingredient propylene glycol. This chemical is used in medications, cosmetics, and food products. It helps absorb extra water to prevent excess moisture accumulation in these products. It's also a solvent for food colors and artificial flavors. Oh, By the way, this same chemical, propylene glycol, that's found in our foods, medications, and mouthwashes is also used in the paint and the plastics industries. Well, don't worry, because the FDA considers it completely safe for human consumption. But here's what the FDA neglected to tell us. This chemical can accumulate in the body with prolonged exposure or ingestion, resulting in what's called PG toxicity. And clinical studies have found that this toxicity, which almost always goes undetected, has serious adverse effects on your nervous system. It's been shown to cause cardiac arrhythmias, seizures, and lactic acidosis, a lactic acid buildup in the bloodstream, which can literally be fatal. And it's not that difficult to develop a PG toxicity because propylene glycol is in so many products we consume and put on our bodies. And quite often, this toxicity is misdiagnosed as something else. Okay, the next chemical ingredient we'll go over is Polysorbate 80. This chemical is used in soaps, cosmetics, eye drops, pharmaceutical products, and foods. Studies have revealed that Polysorbate 80 can compromise gastrointestinal function by disrupting the protective mucosal layer that lines the gut. It can also negatively impact gut bacteria and increase intestinal membrane permeability, which can cause chronic systemic inflammation, a large culprit in peripheral nerve damage. Chronic exposure to Polysorbate 80 can also lead to conditions like leaky gut and colitis, also inflammatory bowel diseases. Now, let's look at the next ingredient, sodium benzoate or benzoic acid. Sodium benzoate is commonly used as a preservative in cosmetics and personal care products like hair products and baby wipes, but it also has industrial uses. One of its biggest applications is to deter corrosion in car engines, where it's used as a coolant in the engine. Studies suggest that sodium benzoate may increase your risk of inflammation and oxidative stress, which has a large impact on the recovery of your peripheral nerves. It's also been linked with increasing obesity, ADHD, and allergies. Another important fact about this chemical is that it can often convert to benzene, which is a known carcinogen, increasing your cancer risk. Now, let's take a peek at those artificial dyes used to give your mouthwash that pretty color. Blue 1 can inhibit nerve cell development, and it's also been shown to cause bronchial constriction. So that would be constriction of the airways in your lungs. Yellow dye 5, also known as tartrazine, is a neurotoxin and can affect not only peripheral nerves, but the neurons of the brain as well. It's been associated with behavioral changes, including irritability, restlessness, depression, and difficulty with sleeping. Some studies have also found that this dye can cause damage to your DNA, potentially leading to cancer. All right, let's look at red dye 40, which is a very common and popular dye. This dye is absolutely pervasive, and it's a synthetic dye produced from petroleum. It's actually been considered safe to consume in the United States by the FDA. I have to tell you, this really astounded me. So I decided to dig deeper. Get ready for a side note here, guys. Here's what I found. Many products using red dye 40 use 2 to 3 times the FDA's accepted daily intake, and no one is calling them to the carpet on this. But wait. It gets even shadier. In November of 2014, the Environmental Protective Agency passed a regulation that allowed FD&C red number 40 food dye to be exempt from the requirement of tolerance. So what this means is that any manufacturer of red dye 40 does not have to prove what the maximum permissible levels of toxicity are for this dye. That's pretty unsettling considering how many products we consume and our children consume, or how many products we use on our bodies that contain this dye. Now, I did come across another study that showed red dye 40 is carcinogenic because it's almost always contaminated with a chemical called benzidine, not to be confused with benzene, benzidine. And it's contaminated with other known carcinogens as well. I'll include that link for you below, as well as many others. Now, I know we're talking about mouthwash here, but I think it's important for you to know which foods contain this dye as well. They are cereals, ketchup, many different beverages, gelatins, of course candy, puddings, and even dairy products like yogurt and dips. It's even found in some vitamins and pain relief medications. Research has shown that this dye is linked with neuron or nerve inflammation and its damage. It's also linked with causing ADHD, allergic reactions, and we already mentioned cancer. Now, if all this wasn't bad enough, there are still 3 more dangers associated with using mouthwash that I want you to be aware of. Number 1, conventional mouthwash dries out your mouth and affects saliva. One study showed it can actually make your saliva significantly more acidic, which is harmful to your oral microbiome or the good bacteria you need in your mouth. It also decreases the diversity of the healthy mouth bacteria. Also, more acidic saliva can damage your teeth and mucosal tissues in the mouth. That's your gums and the tissues on the inside of your mouth. Now, here's the irony of it all. Because of all this, using mouthwash on a regular basis actually resulted in worsened breath over time and increased cavities. And all of this has been outlined in several research studies, which I'll include for you down below. Number 2, this research study that you see on the screen found that using an antiseptic mouthwash twice a day increased the risk of diabetes by, are you ready for this? 50%. 50%. And other studies have shown that the use of mouthwash can also cause high blood pressure. Now, recent studies have shown that using conventional mouthwash disrupts the nitric oxide pathway in the body. And this is an extremely important topic, guys, especially with regard to peripheral nerve health and recovery. So I want to dive in a bit deeper into this. Nitric oxide, or NO, is a key molecule in mitochondrial function and the regeneration of all cells, especially nerve cells. Remember, your mitochondria are similar in function to mini power plants, except they're located in your cells. Actual power plants use chemical energy stored in coal and transform it into electrical energy that we use for our homes and our buildings. Similarly, mitochondria use glucose and oxygen to make ATP, which is critical cellular energy or fuel for the cells. Mitochondria are very dependent on nitric oxide for their cell function. Nitric oxide helps the mitochondria regenerate. Now, here's an important side note, guys. Get ready for this. Each nerve cell or neuron can have up to 2 million mitochondria per cell. Wow, that's huge. Now, let me give you a frame of reference so you understand exactly how mind-blowing that number is. So I think we can all agree that the heart muscle is an extremely important muscle in the body with very many critical functions. It might surprise you that each heart muscle cell only contains between 5,000 and 8,000 mitochondria. Now, when you look at the difference between 2 million mitochondria contained within each nerve cell versus, let's say on the high side, 8,000 mitochondria for each heart muscle cell, that's a huge difference. So it goes without saying that nitric oxide production to maintain healthy mitochondria in your nerves is critical. The NO is used in nerve cells, and it also assists in the regeneration of injured or damaged peripheral nerves. Along with this, nitric oxide acts as a vasodilator, signaling blood vessels to relax, allowing for better blood flow and nutrient delivery to peripheral nerves. And this is absolutely vital because these nerves are so dependent upon these nutrients. Now, many clinical trials have shown that antibacterial mouthwashes deplete the bacteria in the mouth that help to make nitric oxide. So, can you see how this would be a huge problem for peripheral neuropathy sufferers? Well, I think everyone would agree that it's definitely time to ditch commercial mouthwashes. You can make your own mouthwash that's safe and actually will help your dental health and your overall health. So let's look at some DIY recipes. So I'm going to share with you 4 DIY mouthwash recipes. The first one is a hydrogen peroxide oral rinse. Hydrogen peroxide is a powerful antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-yeast or candida agent. You would use 1 tablespoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide. So this is the peroxide that you can find in grocery stores and pharmacies, Costco, Sam's, and it comes in a brown bottle. You'll mix this with 4 tablespoons of water. Swish this around in your mouth for 30 seconds and spit it out. Do not swallow it. This is great for oral hygiene and gingivitis. Remember, hydrogen peroxide should always be diluted with water. Do not use undiluted peroxide. A second great DIY mouthwash is a baking soda mouth rinse. Baking soda has been shown to kill harmful bacteria in the mouth that leads to gum disease, and it helps break up tartar. Peppermint essential oil, which you can add to it, acts as a great natural antiseptic, and it wards off bad breath. So here's how you would make this rinse. Place 1 cup of filtered water, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 3 drops of peppermint essential oil in a jar with a tight sealing lid. Shake all the ingredients and just use the necessary amount you need to swish around in your mouth. You do not need to refrigerate the leftover portion. You can save that and use it again later on in the day or for the next day. Okay, the third DIY mouthwash I'm going to cover, I like to call it the super simple mouthwash, or what I call for short SSM. All you need is a mason jar or a jar with a tight-fitting lid. Add 1 cup of filtered water and 20 drops of one of these essential oils: cinnamon, clove, wintergreen, peppermint, or tea tree oil. Now, you can be creative, and instead of using 20 drops of just one type of one of the essential oils I mentioned, you can mix on up the essential oils. So, for instance, maybe what you'd like to do is use 17 drops of cinnamon essential oil and then 3 drops of clove oil, or maybe use 12 drops of peppermint oil, 4 drops of wintergreen, and 4 drops of tea tree oil. There's no right or wrong way of combining these oils, so it's really up to your personal preference and your taste. You're ready to go. Shake this up, combine it, swish it around, makes for a fantastic mouthwash. Now, here's what I love about these essential oils. They have significant antimicrobial activities against oral pathogens, and they're extremely beneficial in preventing cavities, periodontal gum disease, and oral candida. Now, the last one on our list is oil pulling. Oil pulling is a great way to reduce the bad bacteria in your mouth without harming the good bacteria. It will help improve gum health and prevent bad breath and cavities. Oil pulling activates salivary enzymes which absorb toxins such as chemical toxins, bacterial toxins, and environmental toxins that we can be exposed to from the blood, and it removes them from the body. Here's how to do it. Measure 1 tablespoon of coconut oil or castor oil. Swish it around in your mouth for about 15 to 20 minutes. Do not swallow it. Now, if that's too long of a period, you can start with 5 minutes and work your way on up to 20 minutes if necessary. When you're done, spit the oil into the trash. Do not spit it down the sink or the toilet, as it could lead to clogged drains or pipes. Last, rinse your mouth with some water when you're completely done. You can repeat this 3 times a week or even daily if you prefer. You can also add 1 to 2 drops of essential oils to your oil pulling mixture. Well, gang, here's the bottom line. What you put in your mouth absolutely matters. It's time to ditch the commercial mouthwashes that are destroying your nerves and overall health, and consider safer and cheaper alternatives. Thanks for joining us in this eye-opening exploration of the hidden dangers of mouthwash. If you find this information as shocking as we did, give us a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel to learn how to protect your nerves. Don't forget to click on the bell to get notified when we release new videos. Remember, your health is in your hands, so make informed choices. Until next time, my dear friends, stay curious, stay healthy, and stay away from those harmful mouthwashes. I look forward to seeing you on the road to great nerve health. Blessings. Similarly, that's all, folks. Wait, I got an itch. Okay, that's better.